Hello, everyone. We're live here today with Stephen Halsey, my
Hello. Right.
newly acquainted boss. It's nice to have you on and finally be able to chat to you like in front of an audience. And people are going to be asking away questions today. We've got a couple topics we'll cover over as well, but we'll start things off straight away with how's the shop going so far?
Do you know what? It's been a roller coaster of 9 days. Like really big, like massive learning curve, but just yeah, it's great. I, I didn't expect it to be as busy as it's been. It's very humbling to kind of see every day, like see how many people are coming and people are traveling from miles away. Like I had a guy ring the other day. He's like, "I'm on my way from Lancaster. Are you still going to be open?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll be open. Don't worry." By the time he got here, and like people coming down from Glasgow on the opening weekend, it's been very very humbling, but really like loved every minute of it. Absolutely loved it.
Amazing. And we'll crack on to what we were talking about just before we got on in a sec. I'd just like to thank Arnold for being a member for 3 months now. I promise to everyone we'll get more members only quality content out. Just been very busy recently, but yeah, you were just saying as well. Obviously, it's 9 days in, and it's obviously it's a massive learning curve. You're going to be going through a lot of things that you weren't expecting, or maybe you were expecting, but it's gone a different way and stuff like that. And you were also saying too, like the rewarding side of things of being a shop owner, you now get that satisfaction of maybe getting someone up set up for the first tank. Getting the first fish and naming the fish and all that. So you were just saying then before we started about Terry the Molly.
Yeah. So it's like our first kind of full cycle success story. So this family, two little kids, and their mum came in on the first Sunday we were open just before we closed, and they were like, "Oh, we want to get a tank, and we want to get this, and we want to get that," and they had like a huge list of all this stuff, and they thought they could take it all home then, and the weekend was crazy busy, and luckily because they came in later on, I was able to spend a little bit of time with them and just talk through like, okay, right, we need to do this, and talk through about like the nitrogen cycle and actually how that works and all this stuff. And so they went away with their tank. They got some filter start, they did the chlorinator, gravel, ornaments, and bits and bobs, a few live plants, and was like, right, let's work it down and work out, right, do this, and explain exactly what to do, when to bring me in some water. And over the last 9 days, they've brought me water in like every third day, and we've been following the cycle through and talking through right what's happening now and with what we're looking for. And the eldest lad, he must be, I'm guessing, around 11. He's similar age to my son, and he's been really interested in like, right, okay, like helping me do the tests and actually looking at like the API master test kit and all that kind of stuff and how that works. And last night they came in and their tank was fully cycled. They followed everything to the T. But this whole time, because they were so set on taking fish home the first day, they'd already picked the fish before I managed to speak to them. So they had this little molly called Terry, and I was like, right, let's catch him, because he knew exactly which one they wanted, and we hid him inside the planted tank, so no one else could buy him. They keep every time they come in, they're like, "Is he there? Is he there?" And he's like trying to find him inside the planting tank. And the more plants we sold, the more you've been able to see him. But the first few days, because it was so busy, you couldn't really see him at all in there. But yesterday he came in and they managed to take him home. And then this morning they sent me a little video of like how he's doing, and so excited. And it's infectious, man. Like the seeing people so excited about it, and like their first tank, that's part of it that I kind of knew we'd be able to get involved in that journey, but it's been so humbling to kind of massively be able to help with them, and but cool to watch how excited they are as well. It really like ignites you back into the hobby a little bit.
Yeah.
Like yeah, it's been really cool.
Yeah, like as you were saying, it's just it probably takes you back to when you first started, like
Yeah,
being able to bring someone in and like relive it yourself, going, oh well, this is what I had to do. So like let's tell them what where it went wrong, where it went right, what not to do, what to do, and obviously you've got to go. the biggest thing for beginners anyway is just patience in it. You've got to
Yeah.
let everything settle. You can't just whack something in straight away unless you're lucky and to have some cycle media. Even then, it's a whole routine of testing the water and still making sure it's okay too. You've got a comment there off Rebecca saying that she's very happy to see them Pleco caves in the background.
Yeah, they're all here. The full EBO website pretty much ranges in the shop. And yeah, all our handmade caves by Nature to Aqua. Like every single cave's handmade. Like you can see fingerprints in some of them. Do you know what I mean? So they make amazing stuff. So we 100% would stock it in the shop.
Yeah. We've got a Michael Scouscaper who's just popped in to say hello. He's just watching the match, which I realised after saying, "Oh, let's do 8 o'clock," and I was like, "Oh, it's game time." I'll hear me dad shout if we score, so it's fine. We've also got another one here off Rebecca. Lucky to have access. My partner really wants it. Okay. Football related stuff anyway. But yeah, so I wanted to start off with take you back like the customer did, obviously with being a beginner and stuff like that. Like we'll start with like where did it all start, and then obviously we can lean from the breeding side going into how you wanted to set up your own shop. So like if you want to tell everyone where did things begin, like where did it all start, and how you've went from being someone like maybe some people in here who aren't in the advanced side of the hobby to maybe now being in that point where you're relaying your story and your information to them.
Yeah, so it started. I used to go with my dad. My dad had fish tanks all the time I grew up. He was like, I just remember he used to have these massive silver dollars, and I found them fascinating. And we'd go every Saturday on the bus to the local fish shop, and I'd walk around it thinking, like, wanting everything in the shop. But we'd go every Saturday, and he'd get his food, or he'd get some more fish, or he'd get this, and he had. To me at the time, it felt like it must have been like a 20-foot tank, but I've no idea how big. It was a big tank with loads of silver dollars in, and they were his fish. He loved silver dollars, and I have no idea now looking back how big it was. It's 6 foot. I had no idea, but at the time I just remember it looked huge and this massive fish, and it just I was hooked from then really. And then I remember setting up my first tank after I moved out and trying to breed bristlenose plecos, which as a beginner I thought was amazing. I had like 6 million brown bristlenoses, and fell in love with plecos at that point and started kind of researching bits and bobs, and then was selling them back to the fish store that when I lived down in Devon. Helped out at the fish store a bit and just kind of got involved more and more into the hobby. Was trying to breed little different bits and bobs, but it was just a 3-foot tank, so it wasn't like I had masses of space or different things. So Steve could be Corey's brother. I've just seen that. I wish, mate.
Yeah.
And then I had a car crash in February 16, and I spent 6 years in a wheelchair, and mental health absolutely fell apart. And my wife was like, "Why don't you get a fish tank again?" And like I ended up with 1 tank, and then I had 6 tanks, and I was breeding angels and different bits and bobs, and it massively helped with my social isolation and mental health and all this kind of stuff. And I got hooked from that point, and I went from 1 tank to 6 to 20 something, and then when we moved house, my wife's like fed up with hundreds of tanks in our house. Well, not hundreds, but tanks in the house. So she was like, "Oh, you can do whatever you want outside. You can build a shed. It's fine." But the rule was I was like 1 tank in the house. So I got a 7.5-foot tank in the house because it's only 1 tank. So that stuck to the rules. That was fine. And I built the fish room, and the fish room kind of grew over time. Originally, I was starting to kind of get back on my feet after rehab and stuff. But I was still having days where I couldn't get out of bed and things like that. So I really wanted to make sure if I was building a fish room that it was no, not the fish weren't going to suffer if I had a really bad couple of days, and they couldn't look after them, no one could look after them or whatever. So I started looking into like automation, and to the point where my whole fish room is controlled by an Alexa. I can ask it to do water changes on certain tanks. I can like ask it'll pump water out, fresh water automatically goes in. It's all stored. Like we half rainwater, half tap water, like for different tanks, and to me, it was a labour of love and absolute passion of it, and it was a hobby that grew out of control, like very much a hobby that grew out of control. And then the actual progression was a tank, a shop, and my wife for years has been saying, "Oh, you just go for it, try it." And I, went, after getting back on my feet, went back to my normal day job and did that for a few years, and kind of resented a little bit of kind of having to travel all the way around the country for work and stuff like that. So, around Christmas time this year, it was like, right, come on, we're going to do it. So we started looking for a shop, and here we are today. Yeah.
I've just heard my dad shout, so sorry if you could hear anything in the background. So that like it's like hearing about mental health, like a lot of people in the hobby talk about that openly, and I think it's a good thing to bring up that like fish keeping is a good way for people to keep the mind elsewhere. Like well, in my previous jobs, I come home from work, it'd be a rough day, I'd come home and I'd just sit there and I'd just watch the fish, and it's because just watching the behaviors, watching, like, for example, with tetras, the establishing like a pecking order, or maybe one's the dominant one got more color, and then you just kind of get lost in that own little world that's going on. And like it brings me like so much joy, and especially like in the lockdown period too. I think that's where my hobby like grew even more, because I think I was like just before I turned 19 is when I got into the hobby. And obviously I'd kept fish before in the past and stuff like that, and then it just stemmed from there, where I was obsessing even beforehand, watching videos, absorbing the information online, and seeing like someone's bringing up now with Corey from Aquarium Co-op as well, like people like himself. Like you've said to me, he's been quite a large influence on the hobby, and I wanted to like kind of stem into that as like another part of one of the points that I was speaking about earlier with you before we went live. Is how do you think social media has affected the hobby, and how do you think it like how's it still affecting the hobby now? Like, how do you think it's dictating things and taking things into different directions and stuff like that?
I think it's huge. Like from a shop point of view, we have to be active on social media. I'm trying to be as active as possible. I've tried to bring people along on the journey to kind of see what the build's looking like and what we're trying. And it's invaluable to us as a business. But I think it's like a double-edged sword, if I'm honest. I think there's some absolutely incredible sides of it. It still upsets me when you go into some groups and you see someone who's just started and they like put on something and they just get absolutely roasted for it. And instead of people just going, "Oh, do you know what? Like, try do it this way, or try do that, or maybe try avoid doing this." Like, everyone can be their own worst critic. I get that, and sometimes people don't need to be told absolutely point blank the awful side of like that side of the social media side of it. So like we all learned, like my first tank was like Noah's Ark approach. I had 2 of absolutely everything going. So
Yeah.
like, and it's like, but do you know what I mean? Like, and we've got customers that have been coming in all week and they're like, "Oh, can these and these go together?" And you're like, technically probably yes, but you know what, maybe just focus on this, and they're trying to educate people why these are going to be better with them and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, like I say, the social media side of it is incredible. The information out there, and people have mentioned Corey from Aquarium Co-op. He's like an idol of mine. Like, I think I've watched every video he's ever done, and I listened to all his podcasts. I never really managed to catch the odd live stream, like actually live, but I listened to everything on a podcast. To me, I think he's incredible. I think what he's trying to do and how he's built that business is second to none. Like, I genuinely do. His ethos of like, he'll stand by what he says, and this is what he won't endorse someone he doesn't believe in, or he won't work for, or he isn't going to use himself is a big part of like the shop. Like to me, like you know what I mean, like that side of it. Like I don't stock anything I wouldn't use. Like point blank, I don't stock any fish that I don't morally feel like should be in the hobby. Like we don't stock common placos. Full stop. I don't believe people should be in the hobby. I know that upsets people. I know people love them, but to me, there's 900 other types of placos that will do a much better job on it. Like you can get and still do the like cleaning, like freaking ridiculous statement that comes out with, but doesn't grow to 30 inches long minimum. You know what I mean? And how many people have actually got a tank? Like we've got an 1,800 litre system in the like as our big display tank in the shop, and that's probably still not big enough for a common placo. So how many people really have got systems bigger? Not that many compared to how many are actually caught and brought into the country. Like I just don't like it. But that side of it is like from like Corey and watching how like his morals and that kind of how they've influenced his business, and me trying to emulate some of that. Like I want to see the store to succeed, and I want us to be able to long term be able to support people. And if we sell someone today and they come back in 8 months and they're having a problem with it, then that's not their fault. That was our fault today. Do you know what I mean? Like we caused that issue today, and we're having to fix it in 8 months. But if we can educate and help people now, we're not getting to that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I completely agree with what like you're saying as well. Like I think there's a lot of like I've even had it as like a kid. I remember when obviously early doors when goldfish was still just put a goldfish in a bowl. You need something to clean. Yeah, there's a common pleco, but it was a cleaner fish that made more mess than clean. Like it gets huge, as Rebecca's just typed in there for a lot of people to read in there about information on plecos. Someone's just dropped something there. Do you have employees or family working?
Yeah, so my wife and kids are both massively involved in the business. My wife's doing like all the background stuff and helping with like recruitment and all that type of stuff. She's currently shortlisting for our trainee position that we advertised. We've got some staff like yourself. We've got another lad called Aaron and a lady called Becky, all on board to kind of help. And those positions are growing. So we're just kind of starting people on smaller contracts to kind of make sure that we're not overcommitting as a business and make sure it's like feasible to everyone, but also trying to be as transparent with the people we are recruiting to say, look, this is what we can afford minimum, and the aim is as we grow to be able to expand on that. So yeah, that's kind of where recruitment wise we're up to.
Yeah. That was a very, very good answer to the question, by the way. Like the chat is just flooding at the minute. JT's just asked. Jack is from the Netherlands, so he's from the lands where fish keeping is a very high standard. So he's just asking, is this the first store you've opened?
Yes, mate. Very first store. Always been like most fish keepers have always kind of had that dream of, you know what, one day I'll have my own store. And yeah, we decided to take the plunge, and we're learning every day. The retail side of it is hugely new. The fish, like I like tropical fish. I know a little bit about them. Not, you know what I mean? Like Rebecca has probably forgotten more than I'll ever learn. Like she's incredible, knows her stuff. So, but yeah, first store, we're 9 days in.
Yeah. Jack actually has a mini store in his garage. So initially he was just obviously keeping fish himself and making videos, and he's now got a little business in his garage where people come to his house and they'll buy some fish and that. I'd be afraid of doing that myself, like having people pull up to my house and go, right, I want they're knocking on the door in 5 minutes.
It's really common in Europe though. Like I've met quite a few people through like the catfish conventions and all that type of stuff that like their basement is a fish store. Like, and like it's really common over there. Like one of my aims is I need to nip over and see the Nature to Aqua kind of facilities, and I've been offered a bit of a tour there. I want to try and hit a few of these different breeders that I've kind of got to know online over the years. So yeah, definitely a tour of Europe is on the cards at some point.
Yeah, for sure. It's exciting. There's a lot going on in Europe. Obviously, a lot of exporters and stuff like that. I think mainly in Germany at the minute, I've been hearing a lot of things where people are getting things from Germany that aren't being able to be sourced through different countries and finding ways to get fish still in a legal way still. And it's exciting what's going on in Europe at the minute. Someone's just said, "Is the store in Morton?" It is indeed.
So yeah, Morton Wirral. And JT seems like a lot of staff for a new store. It is, mate. We're fully committed to the staff and wanting to make sure we can offer the best to the people. So, yeah, it's a lot of staff, and it's on my head that to make sure that it works.
What was the most surprising hurdle or thing that's come up that you've encountered with opening up the shop?
I think the thing I pretty much underestimated is like how long it was going to take us for like an inventory system, like and barcodes, all this stuff that I probably took for granted how simple I thought that was going to be, like the POS systems and making sure everything works on that, and that's been a big learning curve. Yeah, I think that's something that I probably underestimated the most, of how long it was going to take us to get it right before opening.
Yeah. I think there's more. I started. Okay, cool. Seems like yeah, you've answered that one. Okay. Well, we'll just move on to the next one until more questions come in. There's just obviously general discussion in the chat, and then obviously back and forth between us and the people watching too. Nice to see Mandy in here as well. It's been a while.
Only Oscars can we ship dry goods to the US? At the moment, no. It's on the cards. Yeah, potentially.
So we went into you went into the breeding side of things earlier, like briefly touched on that, like how you were breeding certain types of fish and stuff like that, and making contacts through things. Like, what would you say what would you say advice to someone like myself who has maybe kept fish for quite some time and different types of fish, but then maybe want to take things a bit more serious when it comes to breeding? Like, obviously your setup, I've heard from the likes of Keith, Aquatic Fanatics, he said that your shed, your setup at home is phenomenal, and it's been doing the dream for quite some time. Like, how would you describe to someone who wants to get started with breeding?
I think there's two sides to that. Like, I think depending on why you want to breed, I think you've got to work out first. Like, are you breeding because you just love the idea of doing it? Are you trying to do it as like the breed for profit scheme system? I think try and work out what works for you in the sense of the type of fish. Like, to me, you've got to love the fish you're trying to breed, like not just trying to do it as this is going to make me £1 million. Like, I think everyone gets drawn into, like, for example, in like the pleco world, they'll go, right, I'm going to breed zebra plecos and I'm going to make £6 million and I'm going to retire and buy a mansion on the babies. And like, yes, there is a little bit of money to be made in zebra plecos, 100%. And as they're getting harder and harder to get in, like especially from the wild, that they hold their price tag and that kind of stuff. But you've also got to think it takes a long time to breed zebra plecos. It's not an easy fish, otherwise the price would be like the same as a bristlenose. And that kind of stuff, does that work for your water? Does that work for the setup you've got, the time you want to put into it, the food bill that goes alongside it? Like some of these L number plecos, for example, you're using high quality foods to get them to the best health you can to get 7 eggs. Like that, like it isn't that you're having batches of 100 with some of them. So I think to me, you've got to work out why you're breeding. For me, I bred the fish I bred because one, I wanted to do like the breeder reward program system and wanted to kind of work my way through different types of fish, and kind of for the challenge more than anything else. And quite a lot of the fish I bred over the years, I gave to my local fish store or sold them for pennies or whatever. And then there's some fish that were a bit more challenging and kind of wanted to have a play around with that. So for me, work out why you want to breed. I'm a big believer that keeping it simple, don't chase water parameters, like keep simple water. Like if you're having to buffer your water, then maybe that isn't the fish for you. I don't, because if you're dosing the water and using all these buffers and all that type of stuff, every time you do it, the chances are it's slightly different. And for me, fish want the stable part of that to be able to breed. From my experience, like I've had much more success breeding fish in either like rainwater or tap water than I have by going, right, I'm going to try and change the pH to this or do this with this or whatever that might be. I'm going to try and emulate a thunderstorm or kind of like all this kind of stuff. In breeding, I think you keeping the water simple and keeping that as best you can. Really good food, good water, and give them time. Like so much time. Like I've still got tanks in the fish room that I've had breeding groups in there for 4 years, and I'm still yet to get them to breed. And it's a long-term project. And
yeah,
if they never breed, that's fine. I'm not. You know what I mean? It's just I enjoy the challenge of that, and I'm trying to do what I can do to work it out. And there are certain things that will trigger certain fish, like a water change that will change the temperature. Like with some cories that can work really well. Like my L134 frog plecos, they took ages. I couldn't get them to spawn, and then suddenly got my first batch, and I genuinely believe it was probably they just weren't mature enough, and it just took time to grow them out and condition them up and stuff like that. And now I've had 7 batches off them in 18 months, roughly. Like they're breeding really well, and it's really consistent. But I've not changed anything today than I was doing 2 years ago, really, with them. So it's not like suddenly I changed this and it was a magic button. Like it just was time and keeping it as stable as I could. Playing around with some water temperatures can really help, but chemistry-wise, I'm a big believer in work what you've got coming out your tap and work out, right, okay, is it physically possible to do this particular fish in this type of tap water? If it's not, maybe move to another fish. There's hundreds of different types of fish out there that, you know what, try someone else, like that suits your water instead of trying to make your water suit the fish, because you're never going to get it right or stick consistently right, in my opinion, over a long period of time. So, yeah.
I think that, like, right there is like the perfect answer to anyone in here who's either struggling with breeding or who are wanting to start. Of course, like that right there is the nail on the head, I think, because as you were saying, the get rich scheme is not a thing in breeding. I think people need to understand that, okay, you will make some money, but the amount of time and money that you've invested into the fish that you're trying to breed, unless it's something like that is very quick, easy, and effective, like maybe Caradina or near Caradina shrimp, like certain types, it's like you'll get your money, but it's a long game, and it's just.
Yeah. I think there's one way of making £1 million in fish keeping, and that's to spend 2 million.
Yeah.
Like, we spend way more in a hobby than we're really ever really going to make. Like,
yeah.
Yes, you'll find suddenly like a certain fish suddenly becomes really popular, and you happen to have just bred them and burn them out, and you make yourself like a nice chunk of like, oh, that batch I've just paid for this. Or like for me, I paid a massive proportion of my fish room bill from snow white longfin bristlenose. I managed to get breeding groups in when they very, very first came into the hobby. I got them in from Europe and got them breeding before their sudden craze kicked off. And at the time, babies were going for like 85 quid. And I was selling them. I couldn't keep them long enough. Like they literally were selling like hotcakes, and that was a huge income and paid for most of all the little fancy stuff in my fish room. It was like, oh, if I sell this many, I can buy that really cool pump that's going to automate this, or like that kind of stuff. So like that was really lucky, really. Like, but the chances of that, like consistently, is just really unlikely, really. So yes, you can get little pockets of fads in the hobby that you got ahead of the game a little bit, or you managed to get a bit more of an inside info that, you know what, I've got a feeling this is going to become popular. Like if you want a little heads up from stuff that I found out, zebra danios, if you can get zebra danios working, I think they're going to be the next biggest thing, because they're just about to be banned. Like you can't get them. Like you can't import them. Places aren't bringing them in. I know of a local shop that just bought 800 of them to stockpile them because he doesn't want to run out. Like there's going to be, I think if you want to try something that might be a little bit of a popular little swing over the next 18 months, zebra danios might be worth having a little go at. But like there's little things like that it just, yeah, you're lucky if you get ahead of it, but you shouldn't, to me, do it because you want to do it, or you want the challenge, or you enjoy it and hope that it fits along the way.
Yeah.
I believe Neil Hardy might be, I've heard that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are bringing up all the names in here. That just to answer FM real quick, Wirral Aquatics does stock Hillstream loaches, so if you want to come and give us a visit, you was saying to me recently that you're going to come visit, go and get your Hillstream loaches from us.
Yeah, there's a guy in, I can't remember his name, Yorkshire somewhere, that's breeding Hillstream loaches. I was chatting to him the other day about getting them in. Like the big thing of the store is I want to use as many local breeders or UK breeders as humanly possible. We have a system in the store that white labels are from like the rest of the world, and blue labels are from UK breeders. After being a breeder and struggling to sell to shops, I'm genuinely trying to turn every label in the shop blue. Like if I can get to that point, it would be magic. Is it realistic? I don't know. Is it happening now? No, there's still more white labels than blue, but I'm trying my best. So I'm reaching out to all these random people that I'm hearing about. Like I say, this guy in Yorkshire that's breeding Hillstream loaches. So I'm like, oh, how about we get some from you instead of us having to import them? And so if you are breeding fish and you're UK and you want somewhere to sell them, I can arrange them to be collected from you. I can happily post you the materials to pack them. Just send us a message and work with us, because I say I want to make it as easy for you as possible. I want to be able to sell fish to people that are from UK waters as much as I possibly can, and I will try my best to make that process as easy for you as possible. I say I will happily post you the bags, the box, the heat packs to you. You bag it all up, and I will arrange a courier to come pick it up. Like I can't make that any easier than I can, really. But yeah, let us know. Reach out to us on social media. Let's have that conversation.
Yeah, that's one of the exciting things that like caught my eye when I first like walked into the shop before it was even open. When I popped in to visit you, I seen the breeders wall, and I was like, that's something that's really exciting. And then obviously you just like said to me what you were saying there about how you want to try and make it like that, because obviously you're supporting the people locally or in the same country, but at the same time you're stopping fish from being pulled from like elsewhere and then coming all over here, and at the same time that's still going to be happening. But
Yeah,
it's
we're not going to avoid that. We're not going to avoid it. Like, is it realistically that every label will be from a UK breeder? Really unlikely, because I still want to be able to stock like some wild discus, or I've got an order of ultims coming because I think they're one of the best fish out there. Like, I still want to be able to get some stuff in like that, and like some of the special stuff that you can import. But I also think that I shouldn't have to be importing guppies. Do you know what I mean? Like things like that. Like we've sold, I think we worked out about 1,800 guppies in 9 days. Like, and unfortunately, most of them were imported. We've got one guppy tank that's got a blue label, and to me, if I can get people breeding stuff like that, or breeding like the Hillstream loaches or the plecos or Corys, all that type of stuff, the more we can get from UK, the better. And then we can top it up with like the weird and wonderfuls and like different oddballs and stuff like that. But as much as possible, tetras. They're really cool to breed. They're amazing to do. Like, have a go at them, and I'll buy them off you. Like, there's loads of people in the local hobby that. There's a local guy who said, "Oh, he's got Shelleys, and he's he's thinking about getting rid of them because he can't sell the babies." I was like, "Well, you know what? Don't like get breed them. You want to enjoy, have a go and breed them, breed them. I'll take the babies in." Like, and like you mentioned, the board. We've got a big notice board in the back of the shop of local fish breeders. If I can't buy all the fish, like I had a guy come in the other day, and he had, I think it was like 200 bronze gories, and I was like, I can't buy 200 of them realistically and stock them in the shop straight away. I can buy them in kind of segments, or I can buy this many, advertise the rest on the board. You can do it for free. People can contact you directly and sell them, like give you another place that you can advertise your fish. And I think he sold out. Like, a guy came, bought a load off him through the board, and it was great to see that working. But I got absolutely roasted by some shop owners. Like, I actively had people who own a shop in the UK who I've never spoke to message me telling me that it was a stupid idea because I'm taking away business from the shop and advertising other people's fish and all that type of stuff. Yes, there's a disclaimer on the board saying I can't take responsibility for any fish you buy. Realistically, I can't. I have no idea that process. But it means that, if it means that people in the local area, especially, are breeding more, I'm getting more fish in that I can use. They've got a better outlet and give a place to sell their fish. It increases the hobby as a whole in the area, Northwest UK, whatever it might be. And that's better for all of us. But to me, like I say, I actively had several fish shops in the UK calling me out on how stupid of an idea it was, and I'm going to fail. The shop's going to close just because of that board and all this. And the shop was built because I was one of the local breeders, and I wanted to do that side of it, and I want to support them as best I can. And if that means I don't make a sale because someone buys it straight from the breeder, result, because that breeder's still going to want more fish or going to still want to do this, and if they realise that I'm trying to help them, then they could come here for their food. I make nice profit on food, result in kind of win-win, and that circle still works. Okay, and to me that makes perfect sense. And I might be in a year time turn around and go, do you know what? They were right, and it screwed me over. But I genuinely don't believe it should. I believe it should be what's best for everyone, really. But
Yeah,
we'll see in time.
A lot of people in there appreciating that, and even myself. You want to grow the local hobby, and you want to make sure that it's all growing up and keep it lush, because at the end of the day, obviously lockdown, a lot of businesses closed down, and a lot of businesses have gone full because they haven't been able to keep up with like electricity bills and stuff like that. And getting the community and getting the hobby as a whole to grow more is the main goal for all of us at the end of the day. If you're just in it for the profit, then you're not in the right place, in my opinion. Of course, obviously you want to make your turnover and a living, but if you're not passionate about it, then what's the reason you're doing it? Like,
No,
I can tell from your response as well, it's just complete passion in your answer too. And
like we still want, like we still want to make. We need to make a profit. It needs to pay the bills. The shop has to run as a business. It's not a charity. Like, it has to make profit, and we still have the margins to do that without it feeling like we're ripping people off. Like, we're still, at the moment, we're selling neons at five for £4.50. We're still making a decent profit on that. Like, so we've sold 600 of them in a week, and there's 600 more arrived yesterday. Like, that part of it works really well. Sorry, just caught my eye on the side of it, JT. So do you pay in cash or store credit for the breeders? Both. We're able to offer a cash price and a trade-in price. So just like you would kind of like, I don't know, like a pawn shop or whatever, you kind of see like stuff like that where they go, oh, well, we can give you this as credit or this as cash. That's what we're doing. We're trying our best to kind of offer both options. But what I can't remember what you're talking about just then. Yeah, to me, hopefully it should help everybody.
yeah, and I think what you were saying there as well, in like maybe the backlash that you got there, it reminds me of like what a couple people have said to me in my short reign on so far in YouTube. Like, I've heard from quite a lot of friends in the space, or maybe people in the comment section, stuff like that, talking about this gatekeeping that goes on, and like it also leans into what you were saying about these group chats where you'll go in, someone's brand new, they're asking a question, but someone who's been around the block for maybe a while just goes, "You're an idiot. Why are you saying this?" They're not giving the answers, and then maybe they're closing it off, and it's burning more bridges than anything. And I think the less gatekeeping that goes on, the better. I think I had Fish Up Matt in a live a couple months ago as well, talking about that from being a person who was running a Maidenhead down further down the country, talking about how he's experienced things too. It's it's a it's a big issue, I think, and it's something that we can only try and tackle by people like ourselves being around, with you being open to breeders and allowing breeders to do that trade back and forth. Not a lot of shops really do that anymore, from my experience anyway. I was going in at a lot of places with it was like, oh, for example, I've got a fish and maybe I want to cycle that fish around, and I'm like, okay, I've had my time with this fish. I had my fluval flex for a long time, so it's like I want to move my fish on and try something else. Um, I was like, oh, here you go. Some shops would be like, oh, we'll do straight swap. And I was like, oh, that's great. Like, I appreciate that. Or maybe I'd pay a little bit towards that. And then there was others that was like, okay, full price for the rest. And like, I get it. I get it. But it's like, it was one of them where it was like, I guess.
I think that's been one of the things I've learned this week is like that is a balancing act from the shop side. Like, someone's just said there, do you take other fish in if people break their tanks down or change their tank up? Do you offer store credit for them? Like that is kind of what you're saying. Like I've got someone at the moment who's done asking those questions. He's came in, fell in love with our Maboo puffer, and is like, I want a Maboo, and his tank's big enough for it, but it's got a lot of fish in it, and he's trying to work out, could we? And I'm trying to work out, can we help him move those fish on in order to let him move that tank into something different? How does that look? And I think that one thing I've learned is that we're going to have to take those things by case basis a little bit from a store's kind of perspective. And I am trying really hard to kind of say, you know what, how can I help you realize the dream of now wanting a Maboo or whatever? But he's got some fairly big fish in there in that tank, and I'm trying to work out, you know what, can I stop them? Can I not? Can I advertise them for him? And it's a balancing act. And yeah, I want to be able to, when you say offer store credit for them, theoretically like a trade-in value or what all that kind of stuff's really, we're going to have to use it as those cases come in. It is tricky trying to get the balance, and I've learned the other end of that conversation from me wanting to do that with short stores like last year or even the last few years. I'm like, oh, it seems really easy from my side of point of view, but actually I can see now how people managing those stores, even just in the 9 days we've been open, we do have to very quickly balance that out. And yeah, like I'm really lucky that I've got 100 tanks in my fish room. We've got a quarantine room in the shop. Like I've got tanks that are out of sight, and I've got some pretty big tanks in the fish room that would breed like stingrays and stuff in. So theoretically, I can move stuff a little bit around and kind of find homes if I need to for some, but not every shop has that facility. So I can understand why sometimes that's hard from a shop's point of view, to manage that.
Yeah, I think it's the farm balance in it. Like, say for example, as you said, someone's got like, I don't know, they've got 10 piranhas, and the shop only has so many tanks, and they're like, right, we want to bring these red bellies in, and I want me Maboo puffer. This isn't the same person, by the way. This is just a thing in my head that I've just made up. Or like, you're like, I can't take them. We don't have the tank space. I may know someone, but it's like it's what makes sense as a business too. If you don't stock that fish, for example, someone with a common pleco as well, it's finding the.
And it is about like that intergalactic. I think his name was. He's disappeared up the chat now. Like he was saying, like I want to be able to support that the public as best I can, and I think me and you had this conversation when we first you popped in. It like, to me, it has to work three ways. It has to support the person, like the public and the end product. It has to support the shop, and it has to support the breeder. And that triangle or supplier, whatever that kind of part is, like it has to work for all three, or the system doesn't like breaks down and the shop closes. But I want to be able to go, right, okay, if you've got all these Malawis or whatever that might be, you know what? Yeah, I can offer you this much for them in cash. Or I can offer you this much in credit, which will obviously be more because I've got a bit more of a margin there, and I can then offer this like a really good example. So I met a discus breeder recently. His son-in-law reached out to me and was like, my father-in-law, sorry, has a lot of discus that he's bred. Would you go over and see him and kind of see what he's at? He's not on social media. He doesn't do phones. He's in his later ages of life, and his passion is breeding discus. So I went over to see him. He was in Liverpool and met him, and he was incredible. Really nice guy, but he's lived in his fish room at, I'd say, a very senior age, breeding these discus and feeding them 7 times a day with his beef heart that he makes himself. And he had, I don't know, 60 odd discus, something like that. And he was like, I've stopped breeding because I can't sell the babies. You could see he was gutted about that. He loved the breeding side of it and had bred fish for years. So I was like, right, let's work together. Can I take all these discus? Can we work that out? I was like, look, let me take a section of them. Like, I think we took 20 first. This is just before we opened. We agreed a price, and I was like, right, at that price, I can offer them at a decent price to the customer. And we've got, a blue Turk female with a wild dad cross. The genetics of it is incredible. The body form on them is stunning, and they're 4 to 5 inches in size. And for that size discus, you're talking in shops 70, 80 quid or whatever that region is. And we were able to sell them at $32.95, I think they are. In the first 45 minutes of being open, we sold out, like literally sold out. So I was like on the phone, so it was like, how many more have you got left? Let's work this out. And I went and cleared them out, and he was so happy. He got the price he wanted for them. We've made a little bit on it as a shop, and the customer's got a really good deal, in my opinion. But
yeah,
he's now like his son-in-law and stuff was really bad. And his wife rang me, was like, you won't believe how happy he is. He's back breeding. He's got all the breeding pairs back in their tanks, and he's trying really and he was like, your next batch will be ready in February. I was like, right, okay, let's work with that. And they've sold really well, but they sold really well, one, because they're incredible quality. Like, we've been able to do a price that I probably wouldn't be able to get them at trade at. Like, and the customers are really happy because they're getting an amazing deal, and that's worked 3 ways, and no one's lost out on that. So that is like what we want to do as much as we can.
I come in on the opening day, literally an hour after opening, and there was one discus in the corner. I was like, where that was full. And you're like, yeah, been cleared. And it was like, yeah, they were amazing. And obviously, as you were saying, for the price and for the size too, like it's that's the thing, isn't it? Because we're now in the day and age of social media. You're trying to find all these people, but as you were saying, that there's like a local person that's hidden in like a cave somewhere, and you've got to go out there, find them, and
it is just
high quality fish.
It's trying to find those breeders out, and that's my challenge now. I'm reaching out and trying to use every little bit of the networks I can get to find someone like this guy, but for every type of fish. And if I can do that, like, it'd be really cool. I think someone just does Steve's ship discus. So the website for the shop should be live. I've given myself to the end of October as a challenge to kind of get it finished. I've been shipping fish for years through the fish room, so I've got that infrastructure, got that experience. So my aim is that, yes, we will be offering a shipping program system for all the stock that we have in the shop, and it's just trying to work out that inventory management system side of it that relate. The website talks to the shop POS, and we kind of know what's what. So I don't want to sell something twice and then suddenly we haven't got it. So I'm working out that little bit of it, but yes, eventually we will be able to ship UK wide next day delivery.
Amazing. I've seen as well. Not ignoring the people in here. We've had a super sticker from Mr. G Martin. Thank you very much. We've also got a new channel member as well. Only Oscars. Thank you very much for becoming a new channel member. So I appreciate that very much. There's a lot of chat going on tonight. We've got a lot of people in here who are very excited and enjoying the talk, of course. Let's see. So I'm just scrolling.
So fresh. Well, I have a breeding pair of Oscars, Severums, and Umaru. All adults. Store expect me to just give them for free and then spend full cash for when you fish. Exactly, mate. Like that's what, as a hobbyist, has frustrated me like crazy, and I'm trying my best for us not to do that. But I get that side of like how that can be hard at times, of like from the store's point of view as well. So I don't want to. It does feel from your side of it that you're getting taken advantage of, that you're getting given all this stock for free, and then you're expected to pay full price for the others, which is definitely not where I want to be. But it is let's have that conversation case by case and work it out.
Brilliant. I think Arnold also popped in the chat as well that he is breeding beta fish and cribendus as well. So if you want to source any UK bred cribs and betas.
Yes, please. We've got 36 beta tanks, and so far I think we've sold about 70 something in a week. Like I've restocked it twice, so if you've got anything, like if you're breeding something in the UK that generally gets sold in a shop, we're stocking it most likely. So please send us a message and let's work it out.
Brilliant. Ooh.
It's more run stores down when the fishes are lower quality than I was expected. I think I pay 300 for 10 adult discus with hole in the head. Yeah, it happens. I don't know. Any more than a comment on that, I think I'll get myself in trouble. But we're trying really hard for that not to be the case.
It's that fine line as well, because obviously you're getting people who are breeding fish for you, and you're like, oh, it's great in the moment, but maybe, of course, you never know what the genetics are of a fish. You can maybe tell from roughly by the eye, but you never know whether there's been issues with weak immune systems. So like the fish gets a certain age and just drops, and you're like, what? It's. I have all the respect for you for being able to go through that and be able to siphon through that all, because myself, obviously, I'm still a baby when it comes to where I am in the hobby anyway, compared to yourself and Rebecca too, of course. I'm still.
We're all fried compared to Rebecca.
So what I was going to say as well is go cycling back onto like the whole thing with Corey earlier. I think, like, all the respect to him, he's one of the first people I think that took it by the reins, because I think he was opening a shop when the world of YouTube, I guess, nobody really knew what YouTube was. It was just uploading videos, and he was just documenting his own shop and his own journey. But from what he's used that as a platform to be able to then have his own Easy Green and all his own products, like in all different shops across the US, and then obviously he's got ambassadors and stuff like that, people on different channels that are using his products too. It's like crazy to see how he was able to go from there to that and get. Is that like this is one of the points that are written down, like saying like what, obviously it's early days and the shop maybe years ago was your end goal, but where do you see yourself in like 5 to 10 years? I know that's a difficult question to throw at you, but
I don't know. Open is the first challenge at the moment. Like most new businesses fail in the first 2 years, I think they say. So obviously I'm really, really wanting to make this work as best I can. So yeah, that's the challenge. I think, I don't know. I honestly don't know. That's a really hard question. I don't actually know. I'm on the journey, and loving the ride. And there's going to be ups and downs along the way, and we'll see where we're at. Like, to me, I want to be able to use social media for educating people as best I can. Like, I love that side of it. And that side of it I love. And I don't know. I don't. That's a really rubbish answer. I don't know the answer.
It's completely fine. It was a tough one to throw at you anyway, because obviously, of course, you've only just started. And I'm like, oh, so where do you sell it? You'll get there when you get there, innit?
Yeah, and it's we've the shop is in a much better position than I dreamed of 10 days ago. Never mind where it could be. I mean, the support we've had from the hobbyists and the locals and all that sort of stuff is incredible. We've, from a business side of point, where we've taken and made or sold more fish and products than I was hoping to do by the end of October in 9 days. It's been a whirlwind of 9 days, and even today on a Wednesday, it's been non-stop, really busy, and that's amazing. And I was expecting during the week I'll get my admin done and get this done, and we might get the odd customer here and there, and it just has been non-stop. And I understand that the fad of a new shop will wear off a little bit, and we'll settle right down, and we'll work out where our level's at. But so far, it's been a roller coaster of 9 days, and I can't wait for the next bit. Really,
yeah. Stemming into locally, it was a discussion that I think I've had with you briefly, but as a hobbyist locally who I guess wasn't involved in any clubs, who wasn't involved in any forums or pages and stuff like that, for the first time for me, hearing everything and all this, obviously being on social media, everyone who's maybe been a part of them clubs to tell me all the things, stuff like that, I don't know where I'm going with this. Would you see in the next couple years or something like that, maybe something of Merseyside kind of orientated club thing going on? Do you see anything like that going on at all?
I would absolutely love it. I've been a member of Preston for a while, and I tried to help out last year with them, and family life got in the way a little bit, and it just didn't work out as best as I wanted it to be. And Preston's a great club; it's got some amazing members, and the problem for me, it was an hour and 45-minute drive, and you weren't getting back till after midnight, and to try and even just go to the talk. So I would 100% want to try and set up a Wirral and Cheshire or Wirral and Merseyside club or whatever that looks like. I'd love to be involved in that process. I'm very aware that now if I try and do it myself, it looks like I'm doing it for my own gain for the shop. And 100% it wouldn't be. Those who know me, I'd hope people who've heard me tonight, I genuinely want the best for the hobby as best I possibly can, and it would be amazing to set up or be involved in that process, or even just to help someone who wants to go ahead and do it. I've told a few local people, you do it and I will help you. Whatever you ask me to do, I will help the best I can from the store's point of view, or help you advertise, or help you whatever. Not for my own real gain, because I genuinely believe even if all the local shops kind of got involved and we all kind of got together, I think it'd benefit all of us. I've got to let the dust settle a little bit of the new store, and obviously other local stores are a little bit upset because there's a new store on the block or whatever. It's a tricky one, but it's, to me, I genuinely think that would be really exciting to set up and have our own grand auctions and all that kind of stuff, get some speakers in and do all that type of stuff, even if it was just on a really small scale to start with. There's a Facebook group, Tropical Fish Wirral, and in my opinion, is a great group, but it's bigger than I think it needs to be. I think it's got a lot of people there that aren't even from the UK, never mind Wirral or locally on it, which kind of, to me, detracts from the area. But it's still a really cool group, and it's trying to that balance. But to me, if someone, or I can help in any way, set that up, I'd love to be involved in that. And I genuinely think it'd be quite cool to do, and it stops, like, if people struggle to get all the way to Preston, having another local small club, however that looks, whether it's in person or online, or I don't know, no idea. It would be, I think, really cool. Someone just said drama with societies. I'd set up a local one for talks, but I'd cause drama with the bring and buy one. Yeah, it's hard. Like, it is hard, and I don't know how that looks, but I would be very interested in helping or supporting that process.
It's something like myself, like the thing that excited me, like as Cred Boys just said there, as Stefan, his name is, he's saying, how did you find Adam, or did he find you? I chased after Steve. I was like, I seen a new shop pop up, and I seen Keith mentioned something. I was like, oh, there's a new shop. Oh my god, I need to go and check out. And I was like, okay, I'll go and have a little look. And then I come over, and I had a chat with yourself, and I seen the shop with my eyes and heard about like how passionate they are about the hobby and stuff like that. And coincidentally, also seeing that you were hiring, so I was like, there's my CV, but I've also come to be nosy too, because I think locally we've desperately needed something refreshing, I guess. Like the, the shops that are about have been doing it for a long time, and they're really great, and they've obviously been around for a long time for obvious reasons, because they've been there for so long.
Yeah.
But needing the refreshment of something new and a different take on things is always something that's great. And obviously chatting to yourself, hearing what you've said tonight and what you've said to me personally too, on your take on things in the hobby, supporting the local breeders, giving back to the hobby as well is such an important thing. Like we were saying about that gatekeeping thing earlier, we're only on this planet for such a set amount of time, and being able to relay what you've learned to the next generation of people, having your own shop as well is a perfect platform for that too. As you said earlier, what we started with, getting someone set up with the first tank to getting a molly and stuff like that, it's just that perfect lovely cycle to see.
Yeah, I don't know, like, the clubs are cool, and I think there's definitely a place for them. Interesting, I had a couple come in that were chatting this week, and they were like, "Oh, my mum and dad used to run the Hoylake Aquarius Society." I was like, "When was this? I've never even heard anyone mention it, or even heard that it existed." And she was like, "Oh, it was like in the 1950s or something like that." She was like, "I'll go home and I've got loads of the old articles like in a scrapbook and stuff." And she was like, "I'll bring them in for you." And I was like, "That'd be amazing, just one personally to look through from like a local kind of point of view." But like, also, like, I don't know, it kind of gave a little bit of hope of like, you know what, maybe there is this scope there if we can get everyone on board to agree to help and work together for that to set up again. Maybe, I don't know. But it was like, yeah, she was like, I spent all my childhood going around to all these shops and tours and like showing fish and all this type of stuff. I was just, yeah, it was really cool to her that even back then, like, there was a local hobby side of it. So yeah.
I think, like, for people in here, and even myself, I think I need to attend some kind of club or district or society at some point, because I never actually have. The only one that I did was the Maidenhead Preston one that did have some members from Preston district there. Like, obviously there's a fear for like people who were newer to the hobby, and I think that's what I had for like quite some time. Of there's a bunch of wizards there with the beards who sat there, and they're like sat in a circle like talking about fish, and I'm like, I'm scared of it. But like, it's not that. Maybe it is in some places, but it's not that in every place. And
Yeah.
I,
And like,
I
the first time
remember
I went to Preston, I was absolutely like scared. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I was going to turn up and it was going to be a room and everyone would stare at me and I didn't know what to expect and all this. Like, and it was yeah, it is really intimidating to like even to just go along because you don't know what that is and what to expect, and you can see how people just then don't go. Like after I went, it was great. Like I say, I made some really good friends at the Preston group, and it's a really cool club. And um, the CSG one that Rebecca's just mentioned is so cool. Like I love that group.
Yeah, I've heard
Their
about it.
convention is worth every single penny of their ticket. Like
Mm.
it's a full weekend away in a hotel, includes all your food, all the stuff. But the talks they get, they shit like people fly in from all over the world. These experts, and it is incredible. Like it, like some like I think Rebecca did the talk in the last one, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying I sat there going, "What the hell?" like half of it went right over my head, but also like amazing to me. But like just to see that the other level of the hobby, and the CSG they do it so well. They have like absolute experts in the field, like Rebecca, giving the most incredible talks, and then they also have people with like a local fish room giving talks on their journey, and it's like such a spectrum of like the talks you get at them. It is just, I say, it's worth every penny, and if you ever get the chance to go, 100% do it. Like it's so well run. It's a really cool club. Their auctions that they hold is up there with the best on the market. Like they so well organised, and yeah, I really rate them. So it is a really cool club to be involved. And we have like a monthly magazine that you get emailed to you and stuff. It's with really cool articles. So if you want to learn stuff, definitely
Great.
check that one out.
I've spent a lot of my early days in the hobby. I think a lot of people do it. I'm guilty of being that one that'll go in the shop and they're like, "When's he gonna leave? Do you want a cuppa? Do you want your tea?" I used to always come in it and I'd just be chafing the ear off someone because before I started doing the social media side of things, the hobby was kind of a lonely point for me. Like my girlfriend knew, my family knew, my mates are like, "Oh, why is he so obsessed with fish? He's weird." And like I'd go to like me local maidenhead, or I'd go to like the local shops and I'd be in there and I'd be chirping someone's ear off and they'd be like, I'm bringing up stuff and they're like, uh, uh I just work here and I'm like, but
That like that's what like getting back to your earlier question about social media. That's the best side of social media. Do you know what I mean? Like
mm,
it gives us an outlet. It means that we can all kind of be together. Like now, there's how people from all over the place in this chat, and we're all able to kind of chat and ask questions. And that part of it is that side of social media is invaluable. Like it gives that you're not alone, like a little bit, like, and also being able to go look what the hell is going on with this tank, and does anyone have a clue? And like your Discord, if you're not on the Discord, guys, get on his Discord. It's great. Like it, but it is like I joined. I don't know last week or something. I think I got on, and I've just been. If honest, I've been kind of silent in the background, just reading it all. And I definitely want to start getting more involved in it. But as a resource, like just people being able to kind of go, anyone any idea what the hell's going on here is a huge like resource to have. And like I wish years ago when I was starting off and trying to learn different bits that I was probably involved more in that side of it. Like it would have made things so much easier. So yeah, like your Discord, like some of the groups out there, like yeah, definitely check them out if you can, because 90% of people probably are out there to help.
that's kind of the aim with the Discord actually. Like I set it up initially as like a way for everyone who was like watching the channel to be like, oh yeah, oh his next video is out, or like they're communicating back and forth. But eventually it started becoming something a bit more beautiful, where then it's become a nice platform for people to then speak amongst each other and give each other advice. Or I put like a local fish breeder section. I've done that initially when I was speaking to the likes of Dylan in Warrington when he was still breeding fish. He's slowly come out of that now, but he was selling the stuff, and I've been promoting that. And Arnold himself has been putting things in there too. And I'm wanting near very soon probably to change it from being the Adam Seven Fish Tanks server to maybe one for people to actually like have it as like a general fish keeping one instead, because it's blossomed into something that I'm quite proud of, because there's now just my phone's buzzing all day long. I shown you when I was in the shop, there was just paragraphs going on in my notifications of like a back and forth between people. And it's great to see the dynamics between different people. Of course, you've got people who are fresh in the hobby, and then you've got people who are advanced. So then you've got that weird balance. And I'm like, this is entertaining to like see what's going on. Or maybe there's an intense debate, but it's never like going too far. And that's also entertaining too. But it's like a really nice place, and we've got moderators in there too that are keeping it in check. If anyone like it is out of line, and that's like out of order and it's gone straight too far, then we bring it back, and I'm quite
Have you,
happy with that. There is a general voice chat. Me lights
have you,
good
have you
there.
seen Mia's comment?
Mia's comment.
Sorry, I'm a minute behind, but yeah, Adam was on to the shop for so long they offered me a chair to sit.
I was in Andy's. I think it was. We were setting up the tank in his, and I was like, right, I want these Manakara, and I'm talking. And Andy's a very knowledgeable fella, and he was talking to me and he was giving me information. And the lads in the shop were like, why is he still here? Andy's giving me talks about the rivers in Africa and the fish there. Me is like, bear in mind, that was my birthday actually. I spent my birthday in a fish shop talking about the rivers in Africa, and it was great. But Mia was like, and you're like, do you want a seat?
That's why. That's why we've got a couch, like a
Yeah.
nice comfy seat in the shop. Because my wife's exactly the same. We've got fed up of me dragging around shops, and like that's why we have like a kids area. Like my kids got fed up of me dragging them around shops, so giving them something to do.
Exactly. I think that's the thing that I really enjoy that you've done. You've done the little fry zone, and of course, a lot of kids come in fish shops and did the like they get bored quick, and maybe they're like, oh, let's go knock on that glass real quick. But if you've got the well behaved ones, and they'll sit down the corner and they're doing some really nice drawings. I've seen that you also announced the winner of the competition earlier today too. Your son did, was
Yeah,
it?
yeah. So we had the first monthly competition. So every month we have a kids colouring competition that we have loads of like templates out in the desk, and over the month people can colour them in, take them home, do what they want, bring them back in, stick them on the board, and then at the end of every month, my kids are going to pick their favourite one. That person wins a voucher to spend in the shop. Um, and yeah, like kind of trying to help them get back involved in the hobby. So it might be used by their parents, it might be used by them. It doesn't really matter. They kind of involving them in the process. So it went really well. We had, I think, I don't know, 30 something entries in 9 days, like or whatever many days it was left in September. So yeah,
I noticed when we come back from Telford the other day that the wall was just covered in drawings, and from the day that I'd done the tour, which was only like a week ago, it was just one, and then boom, like it's been very popular. So it's again just another credit to the
but
good
we've had like
ideas that you've got.
because there's a local school 2 minute walk down the road. There's been this little lad that every day after school, his mum lets him come in to do a little bit more on his picture for like 5-10 minutes, and he comes in, does a bit more, and then I hide it behind him behind the desk, so then he can come back the next day and do a little bit more. And like he got it finished in the time, and it was like just yeah, it was just really cool to see like how much like that was part of his routine now of kind of he gets to come on his way home and does a little bit in the fish store, and you know what I mean, if you can catch people, for me, if we can catch people that at that age to see how cool the hobby can be, they're going to grow up as obsessed about it as the rest of us. So it helps.
Yeah, and to like finish off with things anyway. Of course, my first official day for everyone in here. It was Monday, but I'm officially in the shop tomorrow. So if anyone does want to pop in locally, you can do. I've seen that Michael and Joseph were saying that they're going to pop in. I've seen that FM was saying he's coming for his hill streams too. You're more than welcome to pop in. I'm really excited to start and be able to start my journey back in the fish keeping world. It's been a couple years since I've worked in it, and I just can't wait to start educating people, hearing the questions what people have got, because I can talk for days, man, honestly. So if you want to chat me ear off, of course I've got my knowledge, but Steve right here, he's the man with all the knowledge of breeding and his experiences too in the hobby and the side of things. It's a really exciting new beginnings, and I can't wait, honestly.
I actually really enjoyed going to fish stores with Adam. Though at first I was a bit lost because I didn't really have a clue what it was all about. Long can't wait to see the store. Do you want a job? You can have Adam come here.
The funny thing is with me is that like it's been amazing actually watching, like we've been together almost 2 years now, and the initial I like fish is like, oh, okay. And then like it was, oh, he likes fish, and it was I was dragging him around to all the different fish shops, going an hour that way on a bus or the train that way, and now because there's two tanks in hers, she's had to learn very quickly, and that side of things of, I think it's important for people that don't know it is that if you just watching your fish, you'll be able to tell if there's illness or whatever. And me is like now going to me, this fish is swimming a bit weird, and then I'm like, you've caught something early on. That's great. Like watching Mia quickly go from a beginner to now like picking up on all these different things and tell me like, oh my god, it's great to see that progression.
I was teaching Kate, my wife, how to bag fish the other day, and then she
yeah.
keeps popping in and like practicing and stuff, and because she was like, I want to be able to help when if the store gets really busy, and I was like, okay, so we're just going through little bits and bobs, and to me that's like just unbelievable. That like it's nice to have your family so supportive and being involved, and even just how wanting to help is like a dream come true. Do you know what I mean? Like being involved in that side of it, and it's really cool that like she's the same. She pops in and like last night we had a big import order that didn't arrive till really late, and I was here till all hours, whatever, trying to unbag and acclimate and all that type of stuff. So this morning she popped in, she was helping, like, oh right, have you seen this or have you seen that, or well, it's this afternoon actually, and like, oh, keep an eye on that or whatever. So it's really cool to have them involved as much as I do. So I get where you're at from, like being able to be part of that journey is cool.
Well, when we first got together, one of the first things I said is, if we ever move in together, you do know that there's going to be a room filled with fish tanks, or there's going to be some kind of shed or something. And she was like, yeah, yeah. And then I started doing YouTube. She gave me the nudge, actually. Again, everyone here, this wouldn't be possible if it weren't for me. So please give her the pat on the back. She gave me that push to get the channel started because I was out of the video kind of world for a couple of years and that. And then I was like, oh, can I set up a tank in yours? And she's like, yeah, yeah. And now there's 2 there. And then suddenly I've now got 4. And it's been great to be able to do that. But I've pushed a little too far now. So I'm like, right, need to calm down, because I'll have them 7 fish tanks in no time. Like you said earlier, add them 7 fish tanks. I've got 4. I need to get the extra 3. And
it's false advertising, really.
I don't know where you know what everyone goes. Why 7? I'm like, I don't know. It's my favorite number. I guess I just threw it in there because I know there's a MD fish tanks or there's a fish shop mat, and I was like, favorite number 7. Oh, fish tanks. Everyone's got fish tanks in there. Well, let's do that. But now everyone's like, oh, you're Adam 7, and I'm like, well, I haven't got the 7 tanks. I'm Adam 4 actually.
Joseph just said, how much would you guys recommend a Chinese alligator? As in, how much you recommend to pay for it? How much would you recommend?
Like average. I think he means average price. Yeah.
I think ours are, I don't know, $345 or something, $395. Like they're not expensive.
That's a good price.
Or do you mean how much would you recommend actually having them? I think there's definitely pros and cons to that Chinese alligators. I think it suits some setups really, really well, and it really, really doesn't suit others. So, what do you mean, Joseph? Come back to us.
It answers someone's question earlier as well. What's the price on the hill streams? I'll find that out tomorrow for you. Anyway.
If you give me a second, I'll go and tell you. 1 second.
Okay.
The hill streams are £8.95, and they are not tiny. They're like a couple of inches at least, if not bigger. Sugar, I've just dropped some.
I've seen them range from around that price to even £20 in some shops. It's all down to the supplier, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, and it's like, I think you've kind of got to work out where you're at price wise. Depends on how much you're paying for them at the end of the day. That's something we're learning, because I think most shops work on a like 3 times what you pay for them is what you sell them for roughly in that region, because that gives you like a third profit, a third towards running costs, and a third to replace the fish. So roughly that's kind of a ballpark of, if you're trying to sell fish to a shop and you see they're advertising them at that price, generally they're paying about a third from what they're advertising, roughly. Some of the fish don't have that much of markup, some of them have a little bit more. So, Steve, do you have any Pandagoras? We do.
Shut up. No, don't answer it. Don't answer it.
We do. We got some in last. Well, when did they come in? Late last week, and they're stunning. I'm really tempted to take some home. They're on my list. That's my hardest part of the shop. Is I'm like, oh, I could try and breed these, or I could try and breed them, or I could take them home. I'm really, really struggling, and it is like a kid at Christmas. Like, I keep getting all these wholesale lists of like all like massive Excel documents of like all these fish, and I'm like, oh, I could keep them, or I could keep them. It's just really hard to go like rein it in, and actually I keep ordering more fish than we have tanks for slightly. Like this morning when another order came in, like we got 7 orders of either fish and dry goods arriving this week, or plants. And I'm like, oh, sugar, where are we going to put these? And, oh, let's move that over there. And it's like a bit of a jigsaw piece. But, yeah, it's so cool.
She wants a Pandagora because we rehomed one because he had become like a aggressive cichlid and was chasing everything. I don't know why, but we're not getting a Pandagora, mate. She's doing that to wind me up.
Please, they are my favourite fish. If you want one, me, you can have one. I'll get you one. Don't you worry. Just ignore Adam. He doesn't have a clue what he's talking about.
Feel the pain.
More fishes than tanks isn't too bad. Some like neons will sell soon. Yeah, well, in all fairness, I say we sold 600 in 9 days, and there's a 600 more arrived yesterday. So neons go in and out pretty quick.
Well, we'll finish up with if anyone's got any questions, please pop them in the chat. If there's anything that you want to know quickly before we do end, ask away. Steve is a very knowledgeable guy, and I try to be. I'm still getting there, but
I know a little bit about a lot. That's probably the way to.
Pandaluchas are cooler.
True.
Pandaluchas. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
I do like Pandaluchas. They're the little black and white ones, aren't they?
They're cool.
Yeah, they are cool. I like them. I almost got one, and then I didn't. I don't know why.
We got some of them in stock as well, mate, if you want some.
Stop trying to sound my Mrs. Fish here.
Hey, she's got her own tank. She can't say, you know. She'll have more tanks than you at some point.
She probably will.
We're the next tank should be a Pandagora species only tank, mate. Greedy boy.
If it was down to me, she'd get rid of both tanks and get a fire reel because she's seen one a display tank.
I've been so tempted so often to like every time I get a list to order some fire reels, but because of the way we have our semi-automatic water system, there's a little gap at the back of each tank, and it get out straight away. So gutted.
Eels love to go walkies, so it's not a good thing if you haven't got a tight fitting lid. That's why I've never kept killifish, because I can't at the minute. I've got open tops, maybe in the tanks and mirrors, but they're fully stocked. Yeah, no, killifish should love to escape. I've had
Oh my god! Watch! I'll be in the shop sneaking Pandagoras home.
I'm picturing just sneaking in behind me back whilst I'm on break, eating in the back.
It was like a secret nod. I'll send Adam into the quarantine room to do some work, and then we'll quickly bag it up.
Pockets and Pandagoras. But yeah, is there any questions? Anybody? See, it's funny because when the general conversation's flowing, everyone's like input, and then at the end they're like, I'm putting everyone on the spot. Sup? Nice to see you in here, Salient. Jesse is from the US. He's been a good friend of mine since early days. What's your favourite fish, Steve? Oh, there you go. Put him on the spot. I'm gonna put him on the solo stage too. So here you go.
That's really, really, really hard. I'm trying to look around the store and just see like. So I think my favourite fish to breed is plecos. Absolutely love plecos. Favourite fish in the store, if I don't include our pet Kevin, our Maboo, is probably the stingrays. I bred them, and their pups are in the display tank, and it was like a big ambition to try and breed of like tick box off the bucket list. So I do love them. I'll tell you the Facebook group if you don't like the Blacko and Corey. Yeah, the Blackos are my breeding thing. I absolutely love them. So I've got a lot of different breeding projects for Blackos and some even Corys, in all fairness. But yeah.
Well, I was put on the spot because when I had to do my shop profile, it's like, what's your favourite fish? I'm like, well, I have a tattoo and a pistogramma, but then I love crabenzas. But then I've got my L236 that I'm looking at right now. That's stunning. The raccoon tetras as well. You go lasers and then other fish too. I'm like, I just can't narrow it down. Like, it's difficult. I put crabenzas because like I love the behaviour of them and like they're easy to breed in that sense. And like when they pair up, they just swim around together all the time, and I love that. But then
I think one of my favourite points of breeding was angels. And I know they're not particularly hard to breed, but watching them look after their young was mesmerising. Like I could sit and watch it for hours. Like, and in all fair, it happens with like pistos and some of the, like other kind of different fish, but watching them like move their babies around the tank and like, right, okay, come over here and rest on this leaf now, and like it just. I think that was the first time we had a little rack in our bedroom when we lived in a 2-bed flat, and my wife was very accommodating to me having fish tanks in the bedroom. Thank you, Kate. But she was the first time she saw that happen. Was like this pair of angels we had, and even she was like, "That's really cool to watch," and like it is really fascinating, and it does catch you. So yeah, I can see what you mean by like the tremendous and fish like that. Freshwater stingrays I really want, but understand their behaviour. Breeding doesn't really interest me though. Do you know what? Like, and that's the best part of the hobby is everyone loves different bits of it. To me, like I love breeding. I love the challenge of breeding. Other people just love the idea of keeping certain fish. And Mr. G, I can highly recommend the EBO food. You know what? That's my other business. I'm the UK franchisee for EBO. It's got its own website. It's a completely separate business. Whether are we the first UK stockist to stock it in the shop? Yes. Was it really easy for me because I just invoice each cover? Yes. But it is on the cards of being launched in a fairly well-known chain store, and also some more independent stores are getting involved in stocking it. So. Yeah, to me, it's the best food on the market. I had no intention of being the UK franchisee for it until the person who was selling it decided they didn't want to do it after Brexit, and it became really hard to get in. And I was using it every day in the fish room, so I was like, "Sugar, what am I going to do? I need that food." So suddenly, I had a business for food. That was how that happened.
I don't know where them balloons come from. Like balloons just showing up on my camera, and everyone's like,
I saw that, and I was like, I'll try not to react because I don't know if I'm party at Adams. Everyone, is it if Liverpool just lost?
Really good.
Maybe that's what it was.
I don't know where they've come from. Is it like something that I do? There's like a hand gesture, but I didn't put my hands up enough, and balloons just showing up.
Maybe Liverpool just lost and it was celebrating.
Don't harm you.
I've no idea.
If you had. Yeah, I don't know where they come from, but like you were saying, EBO. I'll show everyone now this. I'll show you this. I haven't shown you. Ah, my ankle. Oh no. That didn't feel good. Ah. That's not good. Can I stand on it? Okay.
Like the Rapashi, yeah, definitely like that. I'm really trying hard to be able to find someone to sell me Rapashi to stock in the shop. It's great food, but it is hard work.
Back
As it
camera.
happens in the one then. Fingers crossed.
I'm basically spoiling my next aquascaping video, but I'll just put this down. I'm gonna feed some EBO to my raccoon tetra for you now.
Steve a toffee eater. I don't know what that means.
Who said that? It's the G.
No, the Scousescaper.
Oh no. Oh, he thinks you're a blue nose. No, he's a Tramia fan, which is even worse.
I'm not a Tramia fan. It's the wrong shaped ball. I don't understand football. I don't get it. Rugby through and through.
Ah, okay. Right, bit of EBO. We got the R team here. I think it is the Dryad. Just put a bit in there. And watch them absolutely nail it.
I'm going to buy a bit. There is a.
The Corys will come out straight away. Yeah, this is what's been triggering my Corys to breed all the time. My gold lasers.
It's great food. Yeah, and I'm probably obviously I'd say it because I sell it, but there isn't a big profit margin in it. It's just selling it because it's good food, and the only reason I got it in was
it's great because it's a powder food. Obviously, all the raccoon tetra eating it, and I've got younger raccoon tetras that I've bought recently that were quite small, but they're absolutely nailing it. Me Pisto, he doesn't acknowledge it because he doesn't like anything that isn't a big round ball shape or something like that. Even me L236 comes out for it. So it's nice to see. Yeah, I got credit to Johnny from Maidenhead Blackpool for this absolute beauty, big chunker. £50. It set me back.
Bargain.
Yeah, very good for that size too. I was really happy with it. Let's feed my Scarlet Badders for you as well. Where did I just put the dog?
Rebecca, have you? I just seen your comment about buying a bit in the US. Apparently, I've been told. So apparently, one of the original founders of Rapashi. I don't know how true this is, by the way. I'm just what I've been told. One of the original founders and makers of Rapashi has now set up his own brand of gel food called Fang, which is using really similar. I don't know how similar formulas, and that's really really good gel food. Apparently, from one of the original guys who did Rapashi. So I'm trying to look into that. So have you heard anything about that? Called is it Fang is the brand mark apparently.
Liverpool just called me. Dad's going to start it downstairs if you can hear Sean. Yeah, it's the only thing not my target arrows now and my Scarlet Badders are eating at the moment is this EBO food.
Fang is entirely different and awful ingredients. Oh right, okay. Oops. As I've not heard of it. It was just a customer was telling me the other day. Yeah, it's good to know. I was going to try and look into it. So maybe can you PM me, Rebecca, about it? It'd be cool to hear your opinion.
Right. With that anyway, because we've had a really good live. We've had a lot of chat between everyone back and forth. I think it's been a really good one interactively with the people in the chat asking some cool questions, people that want to come and visit the shop. And we've covered some really good points anyway. And of course, it's not going to be the last time we'll be on live together. Maybe we'll be doing one in person in the near future. And so on. There's so much potential that is about to happen, honestly. Thank you as well, Arnold, and appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. We've had a good one. We've went an hour 30, about to be 35 by the time I finish. And yeah, I appreciate everyone that has donated, people that have become new members. Make sure to check out Wirral Aquatics if you haven't already. If you want to travel, you're more than welcome to as well, of course. And you can pop by. I'll be in tomorrow and Friday and so on. So you can speak to myself, you can speak to C, and ask as many questions as you like. As long as it's not too busy, we'll try and answer all of them for you. But appreciate everyone in here. Appreciate you spending the time to hop on the live too. And yeah, until next time, everyone. Thank you for watching. Take care. See you all later, and have a good night or day wherever you are.
Thank you, everybody.